Welcome y'all to another episode of the Needs to Be Studied podcast. It's your boy Billy the Bad Guy, and I want to say shout out to my classmates today. Yeah, that's right, y'all finally got y'all name. The classmates. I was gonna say students, but I was like, nah, that's too much. But y'all the classmates. But today's episode, we have a professor in the building. He goes by Mac the therapist, and he's a relationship coach, a relationship therapist. A podder, content creator, but he's here to enlighten us and help us because we're gonna need some. So y'all give it up for one of my dream guests, Matt the therapist.
Dream guest. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yes, because I told you, well, I didn't tell you why, but I just told you I saw you on Horrible, and I was like,
4 years ago.
That's how long it's been?
I think so.
Wow, it seemed like it was just yesterday. Well, because the room definitely looked different.
Yeah.
Definitely looked different. And I have a list on my phone of people that I want to have on the show. And I'm like, but, it'd be the timing. When the time is right, that's when you get the person on.
Agreed.
And it's a new show. It's a rebrand. We're studying things. Need to be studies when we study relationships, dating, mental health. And why not call the big goats in?
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me. I do have a question for you, though.
Uh-oh.
Why Billy the bad guy?
Because
You're not a bad guy, though.
I'm really not.
You're a teddy bear. Billy the teddy bear.
See, I don't sound too gangster like that.
Teddy Billy.
Teddy Billy? I'm Billy the bad guy because I could be the bad guy in a lot of people's stories. And
Me too.
When I went through therapy, we had a whole podcast session out there off camera. But when I was going through therapy and I was setting my boundaries, which you helped me understand more clearly that, do I really have boundaries?
Nah.
I don't, right? And I say that because he explained to me that when you have boundaries, it's like an example he told me is, if you cheat on me, I'm going to leave. That's a boundary. But if you cheat on me and I stay,
You don't have a boundary.
I don't have a boundary.
Because the boundary is you leaving, not the person choosing to cheat or not to cheat.
That part.
Yeah.
So, but when I would have people violate my boundaries and I would react. So I was the bad guy. Or when I was setting boundaries and distancing myself away from people, I became the bad guy in people's stories. So I always say I'm always the bad guy, so why not go with it?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. When was the last time you was the bad guy?
Man, I've been living in such a cocoon with those that I love and that love me that the bad guy concept has not been present. I'm sure in the past I've been the bad guy to some people. There was a time where I've actually made phone calls to my exes and apologized for things that I felt like I did wrong because I didn't know better. As I became a couples therapist, I gained more knowledge and more insight into myself. So a lot of apologies went out. But lately, my daughter would say I was a bad guy because I didn't give her ice cream at 10 o'clock.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, you a bad guy. And I'm also a Billy the Big Bad because I'm going to eat the ice cream at that time. So wait, how long have you been in this field of therapy and what was that process like for you?
It's a great question. How old do you think I am?
All right. You know how people be lying to people? I'm going to say you about 35, 36.
Okay. I'm 33.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I get that often. Close to 10 years now in the field of mental health. Not in terms of being specifically a couples therapist and doing that full time. I'm going on my third year.
Third year.
Third or fourth year. Fourth year.
Okay.
I'm lying. 2020, 2025. Officially, my 5th year anniversary is coming up of having my own private practice and working for myself full time. So I would say, close to 10 years in the field.
That's dope.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you for coming on because I'm trying to get a free therapy session in this hour. No. But so we're going to go to our pop quiz segment, which is our icebreakers.
Yes,
and
sir.
the first one is, what is the most common relationship issue you see and why do they keep popping up? Why do you think they keep popping up?
The most common relationship issue, I would say, is a lot of people playing house instead of building a house.
Ooh, you gotta break that down. Like situationships, because I'm a king of a situation.
I mean, it's all of that. So couples divorce over the conversations that they should have had but never had, as well as breakups. So there are a lot of people that are dating each other or married to each other but avoiding the uncomfortable conversations because they want to play to the concept of being in a relationship, like the desperation and the desire to have that title and to experience that far more outweighs the need to address all of the uncomfortable things that's happening in the relationship. So basically, they're putting on an act of playing house instead of building a house together.
And that's what I want. I would love to build a house. Like when I was young, you just dating, fucking, sucking, saying I love you to whoever just freely. You know, not everybody, but me.
Oh, we're gonna pause that, or we're gonna say
pause.
resume.
Resume. Resume.
Okay.
Resume. So now I'm dating with intentions.
Okay.
And when I'm dating with these intentions, I don't know. I've learned with myself that I was going based off of chemistry and not compatibility. And
Okay.
I will appreciate somebody who could be there for me emotionally. And I also need to stop self-sabotaging my own love life. But we're going to get into that in the relationship segment because people, we are doing bad out here by self-sabotaging and hearing what we want to hear.
And that's why I'll never be out of a job.
Yeah. Okay, the next icebreaker is, who would you say benefits the most from relationship therapy? Couples, singles, or both?
Everybody.
Okay.
So on average, couples wait 6 years too late before going to couples therapy. So I've always preached, let's play offense and let's not play defense. I think one of the biggest issue in the dating world right now, the thing that's not being addressed is that we're so focused on learning how to date that we are failing to learn relationship skills. That's why people are stuck in dating versus in being in a relationship.
What are some relationship skills that we need to know? Because you just told me about myself.
Communication skill, conflict management, building friendship, building intimacy, knowing how to have a fight, knowing how to have the uncomfortable conversations, knowing how to listen. A lot of people don't know how to listen.
I don't.
Actively listening, right? So again, we're focused on how we look on the date, how much we're spending, who's bringing what's on your table, what's on this person's table, what's this 50-50, all nonsense that don't really translate to a relationship. If you don't have the relationship skills, you're stuck dating and never moving forward.
Where do we learn these relationship skills? Because from you. But if we didn't go to a therapist, right? How are we supposed to learn these skills throughout life? Like something like me, my mother never taught me how to be in a relationship.
Good point.
My father was in my life, so I could, and then I'm also in a gay relationship, so no one could teach me how to be in a gay relationship.
Correct.
So where do you learn these skills throughout life if you didn't go to therapy?
Do you have a driver's license?
Yes.
How did you learn how to drive?
Driving school.
See the point that I'm making?
Okay.
Right, like we are able to Google anything. We are able to YouTube anything and everything, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to relationships, there tends to be a lack of education that we partake in, right? I'm of the mindset that if we're getting into a relationship, I would want to know what's your emotional intelligence score. I would like to know what are your communication skills, abilities, right? So to me, it's always weird to me that one of the biggest decisions that we're going to make in life is choosing a partner, that we fail to properly educate ourselves. There's books, there's podcasts, there's videos, there's more than enough information out there for us to go and learn. But we move away from that and we just think just because I like you and you like me, we can make a relationship work. No. It doesn't work like that. The skills, it's a skill set that needs to be learned through education. So without the access to therapy, there's more than enough information if you really want to learn how to build a long-lasting relationship.
So when is a good time for a couple to go to or seek therapy before it's too late, or to prevent it from going to, like, when's the perfect time, you think?
This is my camera, right? Right now, today. Go right now, right? Treat it like a physical. every year you're supposed to get a physical, right? So every year, go and get a relationship assessment. A therapist can give you a certain assessment to figure out how healthy is your relationship, what challenges that you guys are experiencing, and what phase in your relationship that you are. Based on the results, we can determine, do you need couples therapy? Do you need to see me more often? Do you need just a one-off, or is there a workshop that I can recommend that you attend to sharpen the skills that you may not have? Right? Again, it's about investing into the relationship and doing the necessary work to make it work.
And we spoke a little bit outside how it's hard to find a therapist that could relate to you. And I was telling you I prefer, when I went to therapy, I think my therapist never really held me accountable. She just gave me the tools, which I appreciate in life, but I never held on to them, because when I stopped going to therapy, I let them go. But I don't feel like I was ever being held accountable. So when I said I went back to that clown ass nigga, she never said, nigga, you was a clown.
Yeah.
She just said, okay, well, why did you do that? So why do you think some people are hesitant with going to therapy or even relationship therapy?
So I find that a lot of people have a misconception of what therapy looks like.
Okay.
If you think about it, only 4% of therapists are black, and only 1% is black males.
Okay.
Right. So there's definitely a barrier to access, because we may not find someone that look like us or understand us and understand our culture. We've also had negative experiences with the concept of therapy as people of color, right? So we got to overcome all that. We also have the concept that therapy is just to go lay on your couch and talk about your feelings or etc. Right? So there's a lot of misconception about therapy that is happening. However, again, personally, I do think that everybody should try therapy, and you got to treat it like you're dating. You got to find the right fit for you, right? You got to find someone that gets you. You got to find someone that you like their style. The way that I conduct therapy is not how I was trained to conduct therapy. Throughout the years, I've been able to develop my own artistry to how I conduct therapy.
Okay.
Right. So it might look different from one couple to another couple, but I think there needs to be an ability to confront some of your clients in a very artistic way, like based on your artistry, and as well as the accountability. So if your boundary is you're not going to go back to your ex, and you come back and you tell me that you did, I would ask you what made you go, like, so we can identify those triggers and then address those. But I know a lot of times we tell ourselves a bunch of lies, or we create some limiting beliefs about why we did something. So it's my job to kind of help you bust through those limiting beliefs, right? And at the same time, creating a plan for you. The next time that you want to go see your ex, what can we put in place that will stop you from going there? Is there a friend that you could call that's going to remind you how shitty that relationship was? Right? I might tell you, you need to bust a nut real quick so you can have some post-nut clarity. Then ask yourself, do you really need to go see that dude?
You would say that to your client?
Damn right. I believe in post-nut clarity, man.
That's a fact. Do
you disagree?
No, I agree with you, but I would never expect my therapist to tell me that.
Why not?
Because it's like, that's what I want. I want you to keep it real with me. Like, I want to talk to a professional friend, how I look at it. And my therapist, she was pretty cool. And, you know, I made her laugh and shit, but it was like, girl, like, she did a great job for what she did. And I learned with therapy, it helps you get through certain sections in your life. But I do wish I had that accountability, more accountability. And she was the first therapist I saw, went to her, and she was permanent. I never really shopped around. I did feel like after a while, some of the conversations in therapy became repetitive, because it's like, damn, every week is about boundaries. Like, I think I wanted more out of it, so I did feel like it was kind of a waste of time.
Because you had no boundary. I would have told you, you say you have boundary, but how is that a boundary? If you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're making a choice. So how is that your boundary? Right? So again, I would look at the sequence of events that led you to go back and identify where can we intervene in that sequence to stop you in your tracks.
I want to tap into you. What are some of your boundaries in a relationship?
Man, we've been
Y'all been locked in so
like,
hard.
I don't think there's any.
Because she know not to cross that boundary, and she don't want to be in this dating pool, and you don't want to be in this dating pool. You see what's going on.
Correct. I don't think everything is implied. I think one of my boundaries is my office is my space, right? Unless access is given.
Okay.
That's my space. That's where I meet with clients. I curated that space to allow me to be at my best. So when people enter that space or intervene, like even my children, it's a reminder, no. We don't play in daddy's office. Nobody enters my office unless they're given access. Nobody touch anything here, because that's also my creative space. So I would say that. In terms of our relationships, when it comes to finances, we have the conversations, like we have a limit. If we're going to spend over that limit, a conversation needs to take place, right? But we also hold a relationship meeting once a week, every Sunday at
meeting?
Yes, it's called a relationship check-in.
What does that look like?
What worked this week? What is one thing that we could have handled better or addressed better? What are 5 things that I appreciated that you did this week? How can I show up for you next week or this upcoming week? The relationship foundation that I have built is excellent, right? So every morning we wake up, hey babe, what's one thing that I can do to make you feel loved today? And that's my task for that day.
So how do you set the scene for these relationship meetings? Are you like at a dinner table? Are the kids around? Are you in an intimate setting? Like, paint the scene.
So before children, we'll do it during our Sunday dinner. Like on Sundays, we cook together. I love cooking. She loves cooking. At times, she'll be the head chef, and I'll be her secondary, or vice versa. She's not too nice when she's the head chef. Like, you feeling this sense of power right now. You're taking full advantage of it, right? So now that we have children, we incorporate them in those meetings as well, because my daughter's about to be 5 next month. So she's getting used to, okay, here's 5 things I appreciated that you guys did this week, right? Here's something that you could do for me next week. It always involved candy or buying her something, right? and vice versa. We want you to make your bed 3 times this week, right? And my second daughter is 3. So she's also getting that language and those concepts. So she'll be a part of it. And my youngest son, he's 17 months. He's just a chaos. He don't get it yet. But yes, we have the relationship talk. We have the family talk. We also talk about how can we show up for the children better. Also, when it comes to business, it's a time that me and her go through my emails or any offers that are made to me, because I want to say yes to everything. She's more business minded. Plus, if I have to go somewhere, that means she's home with 3 kids.
Right.
So it's about deciding what's worth it, what's not worth it. So she reviewed your profile, she reviewed your podcast. I got the green light from her to actually be here, right? Because I wanted to make her part of the decision making, because when I have to do something, she got to carry the load. So it has to make sense.
Communication is important.
Yeah.
And you made me realize I think I want to go back to therapy because I'm in the dating world, but I don't know how to handle conflict. I don't know how to handle communication. And I don't know how to handle emotional intelligence. I lack it and I want it.
Would you attend a workshop?
Yes. Where do you have those? Sign me up.
Shameless plug. Yeah. So I have a Valentine's Day next month. The next project is a workshop for singles that is based on Gottman principles. So a lot of studies have been done and the data has been compiled into the skills needed to move from dating to relationship, and as well as understanding the phases of relationships. So I am going to be doing a workshop based on that, which will be then followed by a speed dating event, where I'm choosing and I'm certifying and I'm approving the individuals that are going to be present for the speed dating.
And this is in New York City?
New York City, Brooklyn, baby.
What day?
I don't know yet. Let me finish this Valentine's Day event.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. And when he let me know, I'm going to let y'all know.
Yeah,
we're going to take a field trip, y'all.
Yeah, that's. I think that's my next project. I'm just seeing the dating coaching that's happening is very misleading. The information is not accurate. Not much is changing. It's based on experience and viewpoint and opinion versus on research. Like, I'm very research based. So I look forward to kind of presenting that, and then see how those skills are then used live in the speed dating process.
Talk your shit, King.
Big dog.
All right, we have a lot to talk about, and so we're gonna start out with chemistry class. That's our relationship segment.
Okay.
And today we're gonna study how to overcome insecurities in a relationship.
Ooh.
Now, my common insecurities are jealousy.
Okay.
From
Which is
past-
healthy.
Mines aren't. From past infidelity, I'll go through a phone. I'll track you.
Okay.
I'm an investigator. Okay. I have a
So
few.
you are describing the PTSD symptoms of experiencing an infidelity, right? So now, for you to overcome that, you have to enter. A lot of times, we believe that we can do all of the work while being single. That is so not true, because when you're single, there's nobody pressing your buttons. Your triggers are not activated.
I don't want you to activate my triggers.
But when you get in a relationship, that's when they are activated, right? So that's where most of the work is done, is being able to express to your partner, hey, I'm experiencing a lack of trust due to the infidelity that I've experienced. I'm not saying that you're partaking in that, but I just need some assistance, some understanding, and some compassion as I work through that process of learning to fully trust you, even though you did nothing wrong to me. So there are going to be times where I'm going to, out of nowhere, to ask you, let me see your phone. It's not because I think you're doing something wrong. It's because based on what I've experienced, I feel a need to do so to override those triggers of mine. So if you could be understanding and help me through that process, eventually those triggers are not going to be as present as they are now.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
96% of the time, the way you start a conversation is exactly how it ends.
Now, a person could still be defensive and be like, no, I don't want you going through my phone. How would you react to that? Because that's when my PTSD is, oh, you hiding something, motherfucker. You hiding something.
Your reluctance to kind of work. Listen, I understand that I'm invading your privacy right now. In your shoes, I could understand your defensiveness of not wanting to give me access because you don't feel like you did nothing wrong. And I'm kind of invading your privacy, which can make you feel guilty for something that you may not have even done. I want you to know this is completely not about you. This is about me needing more reassurance in this relationship. And one of the ways that I could get that is to verify that you are not engaging in anything that could hurt me. I love you so much and I care for you so much that if something was supposed to happen, it would break me down so bad that I would rather check in and make sure it's not happening versus me experiencing that pain again.
That sounds so nice. But how I picture in my head, I know it's not going to go like that. Because
you like the skills. Simple. It's a
Big on
matter of skills.
accountability.
If you know how to drive, it doesn't matter if it's raining. I mean,
like the skills.
snowing does.
Because my thing
Does
is, once
matter.
you tell me no, it's up. Like, what are you telling me no for?
Why is that a trigger for you?
Because it's like, what are you hiding? You should be able to show me what's in your phone. If I ask you as nicely as you just put it, and you still say no, I understand that's your boundary. Because I went on a date with a guy, and he was like, you go through phones? And I'm like, I've dabbled. And he was like, yeah, that's a hard no for me. And it was just like, oh, okay. He was like, I don't necessarily have to be doing anything. That's just a hard no. But
Why is that a hard no? You see, I think transparency is needed and disclosure is needed. Before we even make this relationship official, I'm going to tell you what I've experienced. I'm going to tell you what my traumas are and how they show up in the relationship. And I'm going to ask you, are you able to show up for me the way that I need you to show up for me? That means when my infidelity triggers are activated, I'm going to need reassurance. Especially in this phase right now, in this season, this is what I'm going to need. Is that something that you're able to meet? If no, I appreciate it. Thank you. This is not going to work for my mental health.
Now, you don't think saying, hey, I need reinsurance, communicating that early could be a red flag to them? Because I need it. Please reinsure me.
No.
Okay.
No. I think it makes more sense to be forthcoming as early on and let people know what's up versus out of nowhere, you come to me, you're asking to see my phone. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Okay.
No, you cannot see my phone. There's no reason for you to see my phone. If we had a conversation prior and you explained to me those triggers and how I need to show up, and I made a conscious decision to continue with you, I am expecting you at times to ask for that. And I'm more than willing to provide it because we have an agreement and an understanding, right? Again, uncomfortable conversations that need to be taking place.
No, I'll try that. My other insecurity is the fear of not being enough in a relationship. I think it goes back to me being the kid and my family not pouring into me to make me feel who I am. And I always found myself comparing myself to, other people, my partner's exes, or, just the societal pressure of what we see on the internet. And I just felt like I always have to compete with something.
Yeah.
And I'm working on now, hired my trainer. He got on my nerves, though. I think I'm going to fire him because he told me I can only eat 1,500 calories a day. And
that's it?
That's it. And I eat that for breakfast, I eat that for lunch, and I eat that for dinner. So
I'm currently on a cycle right now where I'm not having carbs for the next 6 weeks. I'm on my 3rd week.
How you feel?
Horrible.
Yeah, I can't do that, but I will do it. But my body image used to play a big part into my insecurities. So my question to you is, what are the most common insecurities people face in a relationship, and how do they often show up?
I think infidelity is a major one.
Okay.
I also think that as early as possible, couples need to have a conversation of monogamy. What does that mean? What does that look like? And what are the limitations of that? And what are the triggers that may force you to seek someone else outside of the relationship? I think those conversations were happening and some guidelines was made. There will be far less infidelity nowadays. But again, I think self-esteem is a major one. I do think due to the desperation or the desire to be in a relationship, especially when you're in a childbearing age or when you feel like you don't have much time or you've reached a certain age, you overlook a lot of red flags simply for the title. Like when people tell me, I just want to be married, I'm like, that makes no sense to me. You should want a relationship that can evolve into marriage, but the goal should not be marriage.
That is so true.
Right? Just because you're married doesn't mean that you'll have a happy, healthy relationship.
And it's so crazy that you said I do desire to be in a relationship, so I definitely ignore the red flags. Like I'm like a bull. I just keep going straight through it. Like you waving that red flag, I might be colorblind because the red flag is green to me sometimes.
Yeah. So part of your work is what are your beliefs and how accurate they are, right? So if I were you, if I was your therapist, I'd recommend that you write down all of your beliefs in red. Just write them down, right?
Okay.
And then I would then ask you, under each of them, where did you learn that from? Because a lot of our beliefs are adapted from what we see in our family members, what we heard from our parents, what we learned through our life, also based on societal expectations and conditioning. Then I would ask you, what is the truth, right? So once you start to understand your limiting beliefs and what your beliefs and what they consist of and where they originate from, you can start working on busting them, right? Because for every limiting belief you have, you are more likely to find somebody else that feels the opposite, right? So you might feel like you're not attractive enough, but somebody might be seeing you and be like, damn, I wish I looked like this person, right? Or weight-wise or physically-wise, someone might be further away from that and feels amazing about them.
Right.
So why can they feel so good about themselves and you cannot? Right? So I would then go have a conversation with that person and find out what are their beliefs. Why are they able to operate in that space and I'm not? Right? So by addressing that, right, the uncomfortability, your shadow self, the part that's not displayed to the world, right, then you can start to reconstruct your identity and your perception of self.
So who do you think plays a big role in helping someone overcome the insecurity? The person themselves, their partner, or the therapist?
The person's willingness to be uncomfortable. As a therapist, I could tell you all of the right things, give you the greatest interventions and things like this. But if you cannot sit in the discomfort that you're experiencing by acknowledging those feelings and going deep into them and being able to allow it to work through you and to process, it doesn't matter. Right? I myself has experienced a number of limiting beliefs. As a couples therapist, as a black male couples therapist, there came a point where I had to raise my fee, and I felt highly uncomfortable. One, from a scarcity mindset. Oh, if I charge this much, I'm not gonna get people.
Right.
Or if I charge this much, I'm going to outprice my community. Right? So I also had to work through that. I also had to write down those limiting beliefs and go there and talk to other therapists that are black, that are charging whatever,
Right.
or that are white, and their fees twice as much as mine with half of the qualifications, right? So again, I was able to recognize those limiting beliefs and work through them and reestablish a different one that's conducive to what I'm trying to accomplish.
So, what are some common ways that people are unknowingly sabotaging their love life?
Have you heard of the fear of intimacy? You have a fear of intimacy.
Well, I was going to say how you know, but you are the doctor here.
I mean, we've talked for close to an hour now, and I did a deep dive on your page and all the podcasts that you have done, so it's very clear. Especially for you, your fear of intimacy shows up in choosing the wrong partners. You describe yourself as a bull that run through the red flags. I'll tell you exactly why you do that.
Tell me, please.
Unconsciously, you know these relationships are not going to work, right? So there's a part of you that prefers to be single because it fits your narrative of not being good enough and doesn't allow you to address your fear of abandonment. So if all the red flags are there and I know it's not going to work, even though I'm going to try, I can always fall back and say this didn't work because of all of their red flags. Not because I chose to overlook those red flags. I chose someone that couldn't meet my emotional needs with emotional intelligence and attune to my needs to make me face my fear of abandonment, because that would require uncomfortability, acknowledging it, expecting someone to show up for me in those aspects. So instead, I'm going to just keep dating the wrong person and always say, I'm just meeting the wrong person.
So what's the scientific...
Does that make sense?
It does.
Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, because now my next question is, what's the medical diagnosis for delusional? Because I'm very delusional.
I don't think you're delusional at all. I know you are being led by your wounds as opposed to your strengths. Because part of you doing this work, like your podcast is named Need to Be Studied. To some degree, you're studying yourself.
For sure.
1,000%.
For sure.
Right? You are on a journey of learning healthy, emotional, and relationship skills for you to overcome the barriers that you're experiencing in the dating world. But that also requires a level of work that you need to do that you haven't done yet. Even though at times you joke about it, you say it, but the work is also not being done. Acknowledging something and working through something are vastly different.
True.
Right? I'm an overspender. I spend money. If I'm stressed, I'm not allowed to go to Marshalls by myself. I'm not allowed to go to Target by myself. None of that. Right? So I've had to acknowledge, why is it that I need to spend money for? Why is it that I am drawn to expensive things? Is it because I really like it, or is it because based on what it represented? There came a point in life where I got rid of every label or every materialistic item because I'm like, I will not be defined or held by those things anymore. I'm going to have a Target t-shirt for $10. I'm going to shop at Marshalls for my clothes and things like this, because the items that I'm wearing do not define me or my value, right? That's me working through my shit. Yeah. Right now, I'm in recovery. I could see this and not need to buy it, even though I like it.
You know,
are you gonna cry?
No, because you done told me
Need a
about
hug?
myself. So before we go to our tech segment, I do want to ask this question. Like, I do have a lot of trust issues. I know I dated people with trust issues. I know couples in relationships that have trust issues. So how can people rebuild trust with their partner, or even or do you think, as somebody like me who has trust issues, how can I go into a relationship being able to trust somebody?
You can't. The trust, you will need to learn how to build trust again by communicating your limitations and your triggers and what you need in order to build trust. So my specialty is affair recovery. So I would say about 80% of my caseloads are people that have cheated on their partner and are trying to rebuild that trust process, right? So the first step is acknowledging and transparency. Here's everything I did. Because it would make no sense to withhold information, work through it, and later on be told, right? You would find that a lot of people cannot remain in a relationship with sex addicts because when they share, it's I'm gonna share now, but 2 months later you're gonna find something else out. 6 months later you're gonna find something else out.
Right.
Versus here's everything, right? So again, for you is in the dating phase, and when you want to take that person's hair and make thing exclusive, is to be transparent of those have been my experiences in past relationships. Now with a couple is the person that cheated, for them to kind of share what happened.
Right.
Here's everything I did, and be able to answer all of the questions that the partner may have that they need to formulate their narrative about, right? We will stay away from the sexual questions. Was he or she a better lady than me, or did they do this better? You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
the comparison, that's not what we're looking for.
Okay.
Now the second part is, here's what I need in order to build trust. I need you to share your location with me. When you travel for work and you're in a hotel room, I need a webcam in there because I need to be able to see that after you're done speaking to me, you're not bringing in somebody else in that room because that's what you did. I need to be able to verify that. I need your credit card statement because you would go get one bedroom for yourself, and little did I know your lover is in the next bedroom. So you're able, when I call, you just go in that bedroom, answer, and then go back to your lover. Oh, you had sex in the car. I can no longer be in that car because it evokes those memories. It's a reminder of that trust. So I need you to get rid of that car, right? That applies to both men and women. And a willingness to meet those demands. You do the crime, you got to do the time. And you don't get to tell them how long it should take. It's been 3 months. Why are we still talking about this?
Right.
What you mean?
Right. Right.
What you mean?
I definitely experienced that before.
Yeah. And fidelity has the same traumatic responses as someone that went to war. They're shattering your perception of yourself. They're shattering your social world. And they're shattering a life that you thought you had. I never thought my wife or husband would ever cheat on me because we're very religious. He or she hates people that are dishonest, and they don't like liars.
Right.
I've trusted you. How could you do this to me? How could you do this to us?
That part.
Right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of trauma that needs to be unpacked, and the work at times can feel very heavy, but it's very much needed. I'm also of the belief that stronger relationships are built out of infidelity because it forces you to have the conversations that you were avoiding.
Woo.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go to our extracurricular activity segment, right? And that's where we talk about sex, where we study sex.
Ow.
And we want to say, the topic is, how can sex decrease in long-term relationships for men? Now, one of my first questions is, when sex decreases with men, is it more about the physical attraction or the unresolved emotional issues?
When you say decrease in men, what do you mean?
Like when the man probably don't feel as sexual with his wife or his girlfriend at the time, or when they're not, when they're not doing it so much.
Yeah. So the male is the one not wanting as much intimacy is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. So with sex, right? I'm not a sex therapist. I've always wanted to go into that field, but I feel like as a heterosexual male, I don't know if that's the right field for me.
Why not?
It's just my own shit that
Okay.
how it's gonna be perceived. You know what I'm saying? A lot of
Therapist is a therapist.
true, but a lot of people, especially black people in couples, especially men, are uncomfortable talking about sex with another male, a heterosexual male like that, right? So there's that part. Also, there's
But it's very much needed because they're uncomfortable. Black people are afraid to go to therapy in general. But if you can have somebody who you can speak to
yeah.
and help you understand what you need sexually, it will heal. Sex heals a lot. And I'm not talking about that basic sex. It could really help build your relationship. So I think that is needed. And if it's like what you said when you raise your price, right? You'll get the clientele. But I think you should tap into it because there needs to be somebody where men need to be able to go to and be able to express themselves about sex.
I've been dabbling.
Okay.
I don't know if I want the official title and go back to school and do all that and pay all of those fees. But again, with me, I've had 3 kids in 5 years, right? So I've had to experience postpartum and showing up for my wife.
And experience postpartum?
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yes. And on the woman's side as well, like to understand what her body is going through, how her hormones are out of whack, how she's not feeling like herself, not feeling comfortable in her body, and me understanding how my sexual desires may not be met in those moments because of everything that's going through. So that has forced me to go. I'm very big on research. If I don't know something, somebody has done research on it. So I'm going to go and find it, right? So that's what I've been doing in regards to sex and intimacy. But I think there's a lot of misconception and lack of education on sex. A lot of us talk about the physical act of having sex, right? But what's happening in the mental sphere and the psychology of sex is something that is not discussed. So primarily speaking, men tend to have a spontaneous desire. That means my wife passed by me, she bent down, and I look at that ass, I'm ready to go, right?
That's the nigga in me.
Correct, right? That's how most men show up. On the women's side, on most women, they tend to be reactive. They may not desire sex by just looking at something or touching something or hearing something, but when they are in the process of engaging in sex, kissing, touching, and stuff like that, their bodies start to crave it. Versus the men who's automatically based on a stimulus heard, seen, touch, or whatever the 5 senses, they're already ready for sex, right? So, but there comes a point where you can switch. So I find that a lot of males, eventually after having children, your testosterone drops as a man and your estrogen increases, so you're better able to bond with the child, like you're like a second mom. That's what allows you to be able to wake up in the middle of the night because you hear the baby cry. Like your body and everything about you is focused on keeping that child alive.
Right.
So what we are finding is that the males who were once spontaneous now becomes reactive. Right. So the wife would be complaining, hey, he doesn't seek me out as much as he used to. I'd walk around in a sloppy T-shirt and he can't keep his hands off me because he had a spontaneous desire. Now he might be more reactive.
Okay.
It might be he needs more physical touch, he needs more affection, he needs more emotional connection and attunement to get him or his body to crave intimacy. Right. So I find that when couples are then able to identify what is their desire, then they're better able to create a better sex script moving forward. So it may not be he's no longer attracted to her or he's busy or he's with someone else. It might be right now in this season, I'm experiencing a reactive desire versus a spontaneous desire.
Can you share with me what we discussed outside briefly? I said emotional intimacy is a form of foreplay.
Yes.
And you broke it down on how it's
Yes.
emotional. Can you please break it down for the audience?
Yeah. So the concept is foreplay is everything that you do right in 24 hours. Right. I think the issue for a lot of men is they fail to realize what foreplay is, and they think foreplay is just in the moment. But in reality, it's everything you do right in 24 hours. Is how you greet your partner, is how you talk to your partner, is how you make them feel wanted, desired, is how much connection you build, is how much you're addressing the invisible load that you may not be aware of. And what's interesting is that when you start having children, foreplay changes, right? I would get a lot of men, they just had children and their children are still young and they're experiencing there's a lack of sex in the relationship. It's also reported that after having a child, your relationship satisfaction dropped by 75%, and the wife or the mother's libido also decreases. But in reality, what's really happening is that due to giving birth and the estrogen rises and things like that, the wife in those moments is not even thinking of intimacy. They're not even, their body's not even craving it. They don't even have enough mental space to think of that. Right. So a lot of men might see it as they're being punished or they're not wanted because the wife is not in a space where they are desiring intimacy or wanting sex. Right. So now foreplay for them looks different. Foreplay might be, how well do you show up as a father to my child to show me that you're taking care of our family. It's not just about being a provider. It's about how present you are and how helpful you are.
Right.
So you doing the laundry, you playing with your children, you doing the night shift, or all foreplays now that you're even unaware of. I had to learn all that on the fly. Again, I've had 3 kids in 5 years. Right. So I got a crash course.
So why... this so happens to be my question. Why do men often hesitate to talk about their feelings when intimacy decrease?
Because a lot of times the conversation they're having is not the conversation that's needed. It's like, why are you denying me? As a man, I do this, this, and this, and this, and this. So I should be getting sex. Right. And then the wife hears you and say, babe, has nothing to do with that. It's just, I'm working. I'm the primary parent. I don't have time for myself. I don't remember last time I took a shower. Like, I have so much going on. And men tend to compare themselves to other men. Well, I make this amount of money and I'm paying all of these bills. My friend over here makes half, doesn't do half as much as I do, and he's getting way more sex than me. But if we look at their involvement and their emotional attunement to the wife and the children, it's vastly different. Right? So what I tend to do with men is we create a sequence. When was the last time you had sex? It was last week. Okay, walk me through the day. Here's everything I did in relation to my day, to my family, or etc. Okay, cool. When's the last time you attempted to have sex or wanted to have sex but did not initiate? Here's everything I did. Or when I got rejected, here's everything I did. Then we look at the difference. What you tend to see is on the day that sex what did take place, there was more emotional attunement between mom and dad. Or more presence of the dad at home, being helpful, being present, being engaging, creating that foreplay. Versus when they were rejected is that I was working all day, we barely talked. Mom may have had a long ass day and you finally get home and finally sleeping and here you come. Now she's seeing it as another task. And now to her, you're not even seeing me because you failed to realize how long of a day I've had because you're so focused on just you. Like, I went to work, I came home, long day of me cleaning, cooking, taking care of our child, putting them to bed, and now I'm finally sleeping, which tends to be rare, and you're asking for my time. What about me? What about my needs? What about me taking care of myself? Because again, mom tends to put themselves last.
That part.
Example, I live in Jersey. I took the kids and we came to New York. They are with their grandparents. Wife, oh, I'm going to clean. No problem. Already called the cleaners. House is clean. Booked her a massage at 10 a.m. She didn't even know. I called her at 9, hey, get dressed. Call her over to this space, correct. And you're going to go and get a massage. Before I showed up here, she called me like, yo, this was the greatest day ever. Thank you for that. Why? She was going to end up cleaning all day and would not take care of herself whatsoever. She's not going to wash her hair that she needs to. She's not going to pack for a vacation that she needs to. She ain't going to rest because she's trying to have a clean home for me and the children. But in reality, what she needed is time for herself and for her to care for herself.
Do you think people need to be in a relationship when they're broke?
Yes.
I'm going to say I disagree.
But
Off the strength of what you just did is the type of shit I would do, right? I love that. But some people don't have the coins for it or won't be able to give that experience that you just gave.
I highly disagree with you. I was a better partner when I was broke. Because now I could just throw money at things. Right?
Yes.
I could have stayed. I could have dropped the kids off, go back, and I clean. Mm-hmm. I could have given her a massage. I could run her a bath, buy some roses. I have a massage table, give you a massage, and all of that, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't have the funds to do so. Like, there's ways around it. I feel like when you lack resources, you're more mindful.
Okay.
Right? Versus, yo, we're going on a date. Let's go to a steakhouse and let's go spend this amount of money. Right. Versus, she would actually prefer if we stayed home and I did a picnic.
Okay.
That requires more work. So
you shut me down quick.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, you shut me down quick.
It's true.
And that just goes back to the statement: people do what they want to do, and if that's what you wanted to do for your wife, and if you were broke and was able to give her that, you'll clean the house yourself.
Correct.
You'll give her the massage. So yeah, you shut me down.
I also tend to gauge how well a relationship is based on the gifts that they are receiving. Right.
Okay, go into more before we go.
Is it a show, or are you actually attuned to what they need? Right.
Right.
Valentine's Day is coming up. If you're out here buying a Louis bag and doing all of this, right? Even though that's a beautiful gift and most people would love to receive that, but I wonder if they would rather you take off and spend all day with them, which would cost you nothing financially, as opposed to going and spending $3,000 on a bag.
Now, what do you think about the women that's in here that want the $3,000 bag instead of you spending time with them? Because those are around.
I don't think there's any woman on earth that would say, I don't want to spend time with somebody that they love and want to be with.
Not in a relationship, dating-wise.
Now that's different.
Okay, dating-wise.
Yeah. Now that's different, right? Again, there's a lot of performance on social media. There's also a lot of performance in relationships. Mm-hmm. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've worked with the influencers, with the celebrities and all of that. Like, I've seen the show, right? So I can see a lot of the show, even if I'm not a part of it, right? People do things for reactions versus that $3,000, would your wife or husband have preferred that went to therapy? We signed for 6 months of therapy. We pay the fee and we get busy and address all of our issues versus you giving me another bag because it costs this much, right?
Right. Well, before we got here, we got to do our meat and potatoes of the show that needs to be studied. And that is attachment styles.
Okay.
And real quick, can you just go over what are the different attachment styles and how do they show up in a relationship?
Secure is the ultimate one.
Okay.
That is someone that is secure in who they are and is not experiencing a lot of triggers that may make them mess up a relationship. Someone secure is someone that's able to process their feelings, communicated, that understands what's healthy and what's not healthy.
Okay.
Right? That's able to rationalize and make sense of their emotions instead of lashing out. Mm-hmm. Then we have anxious. Anxious is someone that consistently need reassurance of the relationship. I need to know that we're always good, right?
I'm anxious.
Correct. Like, if we had a fight and I need space or to just process, I'm getting bombarded with texts to make sure that I'm still here. When a secure person is like, okay, we just had a fight. We're gonna cool down for a little bit, and then we'll reconnect. It's not having a fear that the relationship is ending because we had a fight or because I did something you didn't like. And then we have avoidant. Avoidant is we had a fight. I need as much space away from you as possible. It's a fear of closeness. I don't want to get too close to you because I fear that you're going to leave me, a fear of abandonment. So instead, in the moments where emotional closeness is needed or emotional attunement is needed, instead I'm going to take space because I'm going to leave you before you leave me.
It's not like somebody I know.
And what's interesting is anxious and avoidant always find themselves together when in theory that's a toxic relationship.
Oh, tell me more. Tell me more. Yeah. And I hate it. And I just came to terms with I don't got to deal with this shit anymore.
But that's what you're attracted to.
Why?
So if you're anxious, you consistently need reassurance.
Yes, I do.
Why someone avoidant needs no reassurance, right? They actually need space. So the fact that they are able to not need as much reassurance and are able to internalize their own feelings, that's attractive to you because that's something that you cannot do.
Now, when you meet somebody, how can you engage what's their attachment style like?
You give them the test. Google,
take this test.
Attachment style quiz. Send it. Have them take it, right? Anxious, avoidant, secure.
So for anxious, a secure person would be perfect for me.
For anyone, a secure person would be ideal because when they are able to provide that reassurance to you, because they're emotionally attuned to you, they are able to recognize your triggers and help you work through them.
Okay.
Right? Avoidant, when you do need that space, they're able to give you that space, but they're also able to bring you out of that space. Right? You're not going to feel bombarded or suffocated as much because someone secure does not feel threatened by a negative experience in the relationship.
That part. Why do attachment styles play such a big role in maintaining a relationship?
I know that has been the consensus on social media, but it's not just one thing that makes a relationship. Yes, your attachment does play a part into it, but to me, the biggest fault is whether or not you have relationship skills, right? So attachment is based on how you were raised. Also, it depends in what life experiences that you have been through. So you being anxious makes a lot of sense because I'm assuming due to your infidelity experience, it may have been a fight has happened and your person went outside of the relationship because you had a fight, there was a gray area. So you always feel the need to figure out, are we still together in an attempt to avoid infidelity?
I don't believe in going to bed with stuff not being resolved.
Oh, then you're never going to sleep, buddy.
Yeah, and it will eat me alive. I got to know that, we're good, and my avoidant person just like stop talking to me. And I just like, no, we gotta be good right now. Like, I'm sorry. I'll say sorry because I want you to forget about it in that moment. But so
it doesn't work like that. You need to learn how to settle your nervous system a little bit more. Also, whoever you're with, again, must understand, hey, babe, we just had a fight. We're not the best right now, but I ain't going nowhere. I'm still here. I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to go to bed because I'm tired of this fight. And we'll wake up in the morning and we'll talk about it.
Secure attachment person.
By now, they're in relationships already because they are ideal for long-term relationships. And if they're leaving those relationships, they may not want a relationship anytime soon.
So I'm stuck with the avoidant?
Yeah, you're screwed. I've been saying that for a while. Yeah, screwed.
So people in the dating world is
screwed.
Screwed forever. And this is why I just deal with. I deal with. The dating pool has piss and feces in it.
Your contributing factor.
Unless I go to therapy.
Therapy can help you address some of your anxiousness.
Okay.
But the real test is you being in a relationship.
And, so wait, what's the difference between anxious attachment and fear of abandonment?
fear of abandonment plays into your anxiousness. That might be one of the reasons why you are anxious.
Yeah.
Because you feel like they're going to leave because you had a dispute. So you tend to partake in a protest behavior.
Now, how are our attachment styles formed from our
Childhood. Man. The education that's given around raising kids is in America builds anxiousness and avoidance.
That
period.
part.
Right? Like
That part.
I remember my mom telling me I'm holding my baby too much. Let them cry. If I let them cry, they learn to soothe themselves because they can no longer count on me. So I am teaching them that they can count on anybody in the world to show up for them. So I'm creating an avoidant. You cannot overlove a child.
Right.
Oh, you're kissing him too much. He's a boy. You cannot overlove a child. It's a baby.
Right.
I'm building his repertoire and knowledge of the world. Right. So it's basically the decisions that your parents make or do not make that determine or that has a great impact into how you relate to the world.
I always say a baby is like a flash drive. You plug the flash drive in, and whatever program you put on that flash drive,
Exactly.
the baby's gonna come out.
Exactly. So pick up your babies when they cry, kiss them as much as possible.
So somebody that's dealing with somebody who has an anxious attachment or fear of abandonment, what advice would you give them to dealing with that person?
Remember these words. Hey, I know right now you're feeling very anxious and you have a fear that I might leave you. But in reality, I just want to remind you, I'm here with you forever. I'm not going nowhere. We just had a fight. It's just a fight. I don't plan on leaving you. I'm not breaking up with you. I'm not looking for somebody else. This is just a moment. I love you. I appreciate you. How about we go to bed, we cuddle, we watch a movie. Then when we both calm down and have a little bit more time, we can start this conversation over. How does that sound?
Y'all need to clip this up and send it to the person and say, yo, this is how we need to communicate. All right. And to get out of here, we have a new segment where it's called the homework assignment, is where you just give advice. And the homework assignment is, if you could give one piece of relationship advice that sounds simple but actually work wonders, what would it be?
Have maintenance sex.
Maintenance sex?
Yes, sir.
What
Every
that mean?
relationship needs some maintenance sex.
Who's that? How that work? Where they buy that at?
That means having an agreement
Okay.
that, yo, on Wednesdays, we have sex, whether or not we're in the best space possible. That's just a ritual of connection for us. That's our ability to reconnect with each other and further enhance the relationship.
Okay.
Now, I expect a lot of people to say that's manipulative, that is toxic, or etc. Again, everything is graded on a scale, right? Sex can become coercion when a partner says no, and then there's a rebuttal, or they fear that they cannot say no because their safety might be compromised, or they might have to deal with some shit. Right? That's the only time it becomes coercion. But if it's an agreement, and even, you know what? I know it's Wednesday, babe, I'm just not in the mood. I had a long day. Could we just do it tomorrow? I get that. I understand. Cool. No problem. It's like, oh no.
Right.
Or they force themselves upon you, or they don't talk to you and they stonewall you, or they ignore you. That's when the coercion kicks in. Right. So I'm talking about to the healthy relationships. Have maintenance sex. We know on this day at this time we're gonna have sex.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for coming by today. I learned a lot. I know the classmates learned a lot. Tell the audience about your event that's coming up and where they can find you.
Yes. So this Valentine's Day, I'm having my 4th annual Valentine's Day experience. I like to call it an experience because we're going to have an amazing experience. This year, the title is Sex, Intimacy, and Everything in Between. So basically, you're going to come in with a sex script that's happening in your relationship now. And then by the end, you're going to have a brand new updated sex script that's going to highly benefit your relationship. We're going to talk about your different types of desire. We're going to break down that libido is actually a misconception and what the truth is. We're going to talk about the need, how to have conversations about sex outside of the bedroom. 70% of couples that have conversation about sex tend to have more and better sex. We're going to talk about triggers in sex, right? How to create a safety net and how to address trauma. And we're going to talk about ways that we can show up better for our partner on an emotional and physical way. Right. So when I say sex and intimacy, it's not just the act of sex. It's about everything surrounding sex.
That part.
Yes, sir. So that's going to be on February 15th in Brooklyn, New York, led by yours truly with my co-facilitator, Takira.
And your socials, where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram as at Talk to Mac Stanley, Talk TALK, the number 2 Mac MAC. Also, I have a YouTube page. Check me out there, and eventually I'll have my own pod, man. You have inspired me, the bad guy.
I inspired you?
Yeah, man. I missed this.
Come on back, man.
I missed this, man.
Welcome back. Welcome back. And you know, Billy the Bad Guy signing out. Make sure you do your homework. Make sure you listen to this episode over and over. And I need another homework assignment is I need y'all to go and tell a friend about this show because we are healing every day. We need to be studied. You need to be studied. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.